Everything you know about your own history is a lie, and the evidence is literally etched into the crust of our planet. Imagine a global civilization, more advanced than we can conceive, wiped out in a single afternoon by a literal hellfire from the stars. While your textbooks tell you that humanity was just discovering stone tools 12,000 years ago, the geological record tells a terrifyingly different story of a world that ended in fire and flood. Today, I am going to show you the exact fingerprints of a cosmic assassin that reset human history and forced us into a collective amnesia that we are only now starting to wake up from. Stay with me, because by the end of this documentary, you will never look at the stars or our ancient past the same way again. We have been raised on a diet of linear progress, believing that we are the pinnacle of human achievement, and that our ancestors were nothing more than primitive hunters struggling to survive. But this narrative is a convenient shield used by mainstream archaeology to ignore the anomalies that haunt every continent. Look at the precision of the stones at Giza or the megaliths of Baalbek, and ask yourself if a society with only copper chisels could achieve such mathematical perfection. We are taught that history is a slow, steady climb from the cave to the computer, but the reality is much more cyclical and much more dangerous. The truth is that humanity has reached great heights before, only to be cast back into the darkness by forces beyond our control. This is the story of the Younger Dryas, a period of time that mainstream science tried to dismiss for decades, but can no longer ignore because the chemical signatures of a global cataclysm are now impossible to hide. We are a species with amnesia, searching for our lost mother culture in the ruins of a world that was pulverized by a comet. 12,800 years ago, the sky literally fell. A massive comet fragmented in our atmosphere and struck the North American ice sheet with the power of thousands of nuclear bombs. This was not a localized event, but a global execution. Recent soil samples from over 50 sites across 4 continents have revealed a thin layer of sediment known as the black mat. Within this layer, researchers have found nanodiamonds and magnetic spherules that can only be formed under extreme heat and pressure, typical of a cosmic impact. The heat was so intense that it turned sand into glass instantly and ignited global wildfires that consumed 10% of the Earth's biomass. Imagine the terror of our ancestors as the very air they breathed turned into a furnace, and the forests that provided their survival became their funeral pyres. This was the beginning of the Younger Dryas, an abrupt cooling period that plunged the world back into a deep ice age in a matter of months. But the fire was only the beginning of the nightmare, because what follows fire is always the water. When those comet fragments hit the 2-mile-thick glaciers covering North America, they didn't just create craters. They created a physical impossibility. Trillions of gallons of ice were instantly flash melted into water. This was not a gradual rise in sea levels, but a series of colossal tidal waves known as the meltwater pulses. If you look at the channeled scablands of Washington State, you can see the scars of this event, where massive canyons were carved out in days by water moving with more force than all the rivers of the world combined. This is the origin of the great flood myths found in over 500 cultures around the globe. From the epic of Gilgamesh to the story of Noah and the legends of the Maya, they all describe the same event, a sudden, overwhelming wall of water that rose from the depths and swallowed the world whole. For a long time, historians called these stories metaphors, but the geology proves they were eyewitness accounts of a global extinction event. Our ancestors weren't making up stories. They were trying to warn us about the fragility of our existence. If a global civilization existed before this impact, where did they go, and what did they leave behind? The survivors of the Younger Dryas were not primitive savages. They were the keepers of a high technology and a deep understanding of the cosmos. We see their influence in the sudden appearance of agriculture and megalithic building techniques in places like Göbekli Tepe in modern-day Turkey. Göbekli Tepe is over 11,000 years old, and its pillars are carved with sophisticated astronomical symbols that track the very comet that destroyed the world. It is as if a group of survivors arrived at this site and handed over a package of civilization to the local hunter-gatherers, teaching them how to farm and how to build with stone. We see this same pattern in Egypt and Sumer and the Andes. Sophisticated cultures appearing out of nowhere with no signs of evolution. They are the legacy of a lost golden age, a high civilization that was forced to start over from scratch while carrying the heavy burden of their lost wisdom. This brings us back to the Great Sphinx and the pyramids of Giza. While mainstream Egyptology insists they were built 4,000 years ago, the water erosion on the body of the Sphinx suggests it was exposed to thousands of years of heavy rainfall. The last time it rained like that in Egypt was during the end of the last ice age during the Younger Dryas. This means the Sphinx could be thousands of years older than we are told, a silent sentinel watching over the Hall of Records. Ancient texts and modern ground-penetrating radar suggest that a subterranean chamber exists beneath the paws of the Sphinx, containing the preserved knowledge of the pre-flood world. This is the hidden origin we are searching for. The pyramids were not just tombs, but perhaps massive machines or resonance chambers designed to tap into the Earth's energy grid, a technology we are only now beginning to rediscover through the study of cymatics and frequency. They were built to last forever, as a stone message to a future generation that would one day have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. We are living in a window of stability that we take for granted. The story of the Younger Dryas teaches us that the Earth is a target in a cosmic shooting gallery, and that civilization is a fragile flame that can be extinguished in an instant. By studying our hidden origins, we aren't just looking into the past, we are looking into a mirror. The ancient architects of the pyramids and Atlantis knew that time is cyclical, and that the stars eventually return to the same deadly positions. They left us a map in stone and a warning in myth. It is time for us to stop fighting over the small things and start looking at the big picture. We are the inheritors of a lost legacy, and it is our responsibility to decode the message before history repeats itself. The stones are speaking, and the grid is pulsing with a forgotten energy. The only question is, are we ready to remember who we really are? If you found this journey into our forgotten past as fascinating as I do, then make sure to subscribe to Hidden Origins and join our community of truth seekers. We are just scratching the surface of the mysteries that lie beneath the sand and the sea. In our next episode, we will dive deep into the mysterious ruins of Puma Punku and the evidence of ancient laser technology. Don't miss it, because the truth is out there, waiting to be found. I am your professor, and this has been a journey into the hidden origins of humanity. Thank you for watching, and keep your eyes on the stars.